I don't know about y'all, but I have actually been following or looking at this whole Blueface Krishan thing that's going on. And all I can say is that Blueface is an Aquarius, okay? I do believe that Krishan may be a Pisces, but Blueface is an Aquarius. And a lot of times, and this is not an excuse, because I be finding myself wanting to really just pull my hair out, because at the end of the day, regardless of whatever sign you're dealing with, it's just really at the bottom line about what you allow and what you don't allow. And you got to know what you want. And you got to know what you don't want. And you got to know what you will put up with. And you got to know your boundaries. And you got to be able to say, but this may not be, this current situation or this what I'm currently dealing with may not be what I need to be dealing with, or it may not even be what I'm dealing with 5 to 10 years from now. You know, it's just a moment in time, and I'm choosing, because we're always being able to make choices, and it's not about being perfect, you know. But what gets me the most is when I'm seeing people that say, oh, well, they're in love with each other. But at the end of the day, y'all, love is really about being able to carry and have that same love for somebody, even when you have to let them go sometimes. You know, I think that a lot of times we're talking about obsession, and I don't feel like there's anything wrong with obsession as long as it's within a healthy dose, okay? Because you can have people, or like two people or individuals that's infatuated with each other or obsessed with each other. Like they like being around each other. They like the way that each other, they make each other feel, but at the same time, it's not to the point to where there's abuse that's occurring and you can't break away from it, and you're miserable really, and you're trying to control what's happening, but you can't, and you want to hold on tighter and tighter and tighter. And don't get me wrong, okay? I feel like we've all, or quite a bit of us, have been through it. So it's not about being wrong or judging somebody. It's just when we know better, sometimes it helps us do better. And let's get back to the whole Bluefaces and Aquarius thing. I'm in no means trying to say all Aquarius acts a certain type of way. But with him being Aquarius, it's something that I noticed. Like when Krishan tries to be intimate with him, there's instances to where you see him kind of like move her off of him, you know, kind of like he doesn't engage her in like in the same way that she's trying to engage him. And on occasions you'll see him doing that, like grabbing her and saying, okay, hey, come here. You know, that's another aspect of Aquarian energy. You know, Aquarius could be definitely very on and off, right? But a lot of times what he's trying to do, or the way that he's looking at Krishan, is like a friend, because Aquariuses like to have this whole relationship vibe, this whole friend thing, okay? And they do not like to be pressured for a commitment. They do not like to be pressured into like a relationship or a committed situation. They like to be free to experience. Now, see, the one thing that I'm doing is I'm taking myself out of, I'm being more of an astrologer instead of being personal right now, okay? Because by no means am I saying he's right. I have my personal opinions about the fella and just other things that's going on in the relationship and within itself. But right now, I'm being very strategic about what I'm saying. And with that being said, a lot of times, you know, with Aquarius is they don't want to be coerced or forced into anything. Now, you can find them attempting to control the environment around them. You know, Leo is their opposite sign, okay, and the opposite energy that they're playing with, and they could be controlling of the environment around them and the people that's in it, because they'll feel like they know best. And this is, I'm not surprised. The simple fact that Krishan literally signed over her power of attorney rights of, you know, of receiving her Zeus checks to Blueface, okay? And I'm just like, okay, that's him having control over her money, the situations around him. Because you better believe, I don't care how detached they seem and how much it seems like they're not paying attention. They are very strategic and they know what they're doing. They are able to set up scenarios. They are able to look at individuals and say, okay, this is what I'm going to use this one for. This is what I need that one for. They operate in some form of group think, where there's times where they're the mastermind of that group. Don't get me wrong, or they attempt to be, but they'll tell it to you like, well, this is, what we're gonna do. I feel like it needs to benefit everybody that's involved. Blueface hints, hey, I'm gonna take Krishan's money and I'm gonna spend it on my baby's mom and my son, and we're just gonna spread the wealth. Now, I'm not saying all Aquariuses do this. Don't get me wrong, because that's not the goal that I'm trying to make here. But what I'm saying is that each individual person is different, and they take an energy that they have access to, and they react and they respond in different ways. And Blueface is no different. It's just key things that I've seen and I've noticed about him, and then finding out that he's an Aquarius, I can tell, like the detached part. A lot of times when Aquarius feels like they're getting too emotionally attached, or someone's getting too emotionally attached to them, they will distance themselves. Okay? If they're operating in a lower level or lower aspect of themselves, in like on a more selfish level, coming from a place to where they're not being that mature, they can do it to where they're actually sleeping with or sexually involved with said friends. Not in every instance, but in some. And if you take someone that's young, on a more younger side, and maybe someone that's still experiencing and more immature, Blueface is probably more than likely going to utilize his options that, he's going to exercise with these options, or exercise his options. And the thing about it is Krishan knows about it. That's a whole nother video, I feel like. Because Blueface pretty much put it out there. So at this point, it's like he's not even cheating. I feel like it's more about the fact that she's invested. She feels like she's invested so much to prove to him and to show him she's in love with him, as oftentimes women will do. I'm not, sitting here judging her in this moment. Like, she is attempting to do these things, okay, that will inspire him or show him she's in love with him. I feel like, yes, she has a form of infatuation for him. I can't tell the woman that she's not in love with him, but I just don't feel like it's the healthiest thing to be doing, because Krishan is still young. One day she's going to be in her 30s, 40s, and she doesn't want to be walking around with this grown man tattooed on her neck. She may be with him and she may not be with him, but she's doing these things to try to prove or show him how special he is, how much she loves him, why she's going to stick by him through thick and thin. And then she wonders why he does these things that he does to her, because it's like he knows she's going to be there. As a matter of fact, for an Aquarius, that could be very, while he can care for her, don't get me wrong. And I'm just saying, I like, for an Aquarius, yes, Aquariuses, because of the way they are, they do need partners that have some sort of understanding about like their distance in detached ways. They do need that, but at the same time, they can definitely become bored with a person that is easily just being like, here I am, do whatever you want to me. you know, they like to access people on an intellectual level. Now, I'm not, I really do feel like Krishan definitely could be someone that Blueface finds very creative. He might find her boldness and her ability to constantly stand by his side, or just like her sassiness, toxicness attractive. And he has a level of toxicness himself. I think that a lot of people do, you know, that's neither here nor there. But he can find it attractive, but at the same time, it puts her in a position to where she's easily used and manipulated by him. And I don't even feel like I don't feel like he has to do much manipulating, because a lot of times, I don't know if y'all have heard of this before, but whenever someone is like infatuated with another person, or in a place to where they're like, oh, I'm in love with this person, you know, they go into this state. It's like they enter in this space into their mind to where all logic cease, to where they're blinded. You heard Eve say love is blind. They're blinded, and there is very hard to bring them out of it. I know, I have experienced it. Like, there's nothing. People could be like, listen, we seen him on top of a building on film doing A, B, or C to a line of individuals, women and men, and the person that's claiming that they're in this love state of infatuation would be like, oh, that's fine. What I have realized that about love is not necessarily attached to an individual. Like, love is a feeling. People describe a feeling when they're talking about love. It's a feeling to where they're like, okay, well, this person, I care about this person, or these people, like my children, my spouse, my family, my grandmother, whatever, a close friend, more than I care about these other people. It's something that I feel. I want them to be protected. I want them to be safe. And that is labeled as love, right? But how many people have situations like that they live in, or that they're around, or that they're in, to where it's giving off anything but stability, but freedom? But there are some very toxic family situations too. And when it's all said and done, everybody will use, I love my father, I love my mom, I love, you know, I like, a parent will abuse their child and say, but I love my child. Do you get where I'm going here? In those instances, I feel people are describing love from a selfish place. It's not really that they're just so in love with someone else because that person is doing these things to make them in love. It's something that it's like an attachment that they have. Love is really freedom. Love is really enlightenment. Love is something that we feel from within first, and then we live it with the things and the people and the environment outside of us. And then we form healthier alliances. We form relationships with people where we can say, well, you know what? What are you looking for? Or this is what I'm looking for. You know, I have a connection with you. It's like an agreement. Do we want to go in this together? Like, do we want to experience each other? Do we want to just be together or whatever, or be around each other, stay acquainted, stay in touch? The point that I'm trying to make is that a lot of people get together and they're looking for somebody outside of themselves, the other person, to fulfill this idea of love for them. And the person may or may not can do it. And we think, well, the more I can put up with being mistreated, the more I can settle for less, the more I devalue myself for this person. That shows them that I love them even more. But it's sending off a strong frequency of, to the other person, to each other really, that this person is not really what I'm looking for. I do care, but no, because like this person is dangerous. Almost like this person is putting themselves in danger and they're neglecting themselves. How could they really love me? So originally I started off with saying, of course, you know, Blueface is an Aquarius, but there was a message here. All right. But yeah, you know, Blueface as an Aquarius, he's definitely not really, he's looking for experiences right now. You know, he's younger. I feel like there's some healing that he needs to do too, because this is not necessarily about saying Krishan is wrong, but there's healing that he needs to do. But he can come off like very detached. He can have women, men, listen, that are his friends, and he can be, it could be more. Because until Aquariuses learn that, or they decide like, okay, well, I don't have to utilize all my friendships. Like, they do not necessarily have to be sexual friendships. But think about it. A lot of relationships or interactions that we have with people that can turn sexual are with people that we consider like our friends, like people that we either trust or we're calling them a friend. Is because it's for some reason, like we depend on them in some way, shape, or form, which in return forms emotional attachments. And Aquariuses have this way about themselves to where people that they're involved in, even though they can be detached emotionally, they are able to form emotional attachments with the people that they are with and they come into close association with. Okay? So, I hope that you enjoyed the video. It's just something that I wanted to talk about. But like I said, I slid some other stuff up in there too. So yeah, you feel free to add any comments that you would like, join in on the conversation, however you want to put it, so it makes more suggestions for me, and I definitely will be back. Thank you.